Hey, shalom guys. So today's video is called Disconnect to Reconnect. I had two sisters share some information with me. First one's Tiffany. I'm going to start off with her. She was explaining to me that not that long ago, but also in ancient times, for thousands of generations, families were very tight, knitted together. They helped each other out. You had women coming together and helping to take care of the little ones. And you had more of a bonding on a small scale of true, intimate relationships with folks. On the flip side, today, you have the absolute opposite. You have people connecting on digital platforms for people all over the world. And you don't know these people because you really can't get to know or yada someone when you don't have a fabric kind of relationship that are intertwined between two people or more. And it ends up being something that is a weakness. It becomes a weakness. And it makes us weak as a nation, as a people, because we are trying to connect with all these people all over the world and build so-called relationships that don't really give you the sense of family and close relationships like it should. That's why it's so important to know the people around you. In America, where I live, I don't know what cultures are like in other countries, but here in America, as a majority, people are kind of doing their own thing. We live in separate houses. Sometimes we know our neighbors. Sometimes we have a semi-close relationship with our neighbors. And in other cases, people will live next to someone and not even know their name or not even ever meet their neighbor. So it puts us in a very vulnerable, bad position when we are so separated from the people in our physical area. But we're trying to connect with people all over the world, but have that barrier where you get to know someone sorta. It's safe. You don't have to worry about them getting too close to you, because then they'll really find out who you are. They'll really see the good, the bad, and the ugly. So you can have these fake, false relationships that don't have any solid foundation. And that's just not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. Facebook is one of those platforms. People will have like thousands of quote unquote friends. These aren't friends. They're not. Friendship with the world is enmity with Elohim. That doesn't mean that you can't have friends, but true kindred bosom friends are those that you help through the hard times, that you cry with, that you help with. This is what families did back in the day. You had communities. You had, even in biblical times, large families, people dwelling in cities together, protected with a wall around them. And nowadays, we live in unwalled cities where we don't really have any form of protection like you see in biblical times. But they had protection not just with the walls around them, they had protection when it came to community and gathering. And wives would help out other wives. And you had women connecting, groups of women, and they're helping to take care of little ones. And nowadays you got all these families where the moms are doing it all. They're doing it all. They don't have hardly anyone helping them out, or maybe once in a while they have a family member help them out. Families were a lot more connected, which helped greatly when it came to assisting children. They weren't just doing it all on their own. They were all surrounded with each other. And that helps to build a foundation of strength and protection when it comes to the enemy coming in and raiding your village, your town. Because when you have people that are tight knit together, it's hard to get through that barrier when people are so close. So the sister, Tiffany, that I was speaking to was explaining that all of these digital platforms and connecting with people through various digital platforms is false. It's connecting with the world. And I'm not saying all technology is bad. That's not where I'm going with this, y'all. I'm saying that there is a place for technology, but there's also a place where we should be connecting with Abba Father Yahweh on his platform, because his platform is this earth, and it is a solid, immovable structure. And we have people in our world today, myself included, okay, that are connecting all four corners of our earth. That's a model of Tet. And all four corners of the earth, they are trying to connect with all these people, but they're not connecting with those that are right here close to them in their vicinity. And when we do this, it causes us to connect with the world more than with Elohim. If Yahweh, our Elohim, is one on a list of one, which isn't a list at all, if he is the top important thing in our life, we are going to put him first and foremost. So if we're constantly on all these digital devices, connecting on Facebook or Twitter or mumbo jumbo, I don't know all these different things. I'm not a techie type of person. Yes, I use the internet for various things. I research a lot of stuff. But I'm preaching to myself here, because I recognize this phone right here, it goes everywhere with me. It wasn't that long ago, y'all. People didn't have phones. no television, no landline phones. Young kids today probably don't even know what that is because people don't have them in their houses anymore. They didn't have electricity. There wasn't air conditioning. There wasn't all these modern conveniences that make us weak mentally. We're connecting with all these false devices that give us comfort, but they're temporary conveniences of comfort. And they make us weak because if we are connecting with the world, we're plugged into that system more than we are plugged into our relationship with Elohim. You'll know if your life is out of balance. Are you constantly on your phone, texting, doing business, getting on the internet, all these different things? It's funny because the word internet is enter the net. Chew on that for a minute. Enter the net. What does a net do? It captures you. It's entering you into the digital device. If we're constantly plugged into that device, that system, it's a trap. It's a trap. And yes, we can use it for spreading the good news amongst all those that are spreading the bad news. But we also need to plug into our Creator. I'm preaching to myself here, folks, because I carry this thing around with me all over the place. It doesn't leave my back pocket most of the time. And it wasn't that long ago that we didn't have any of these devices. For thousands of years, people had closer relationships. They weren't trying to connect with the whole world. They connected with those that are around them, their family, their close neighbors. We couldn't go places like we do today. They had horses and buggies and, camels and stuff like that. They had those types of things. And you wouldn't have gone far. Or if you did, it was a major long journey. A major long journey, like, the wagon train. And people stayed close to those that were around them. They built relationships with those that were around them. They weren't constantly distracted by all the things of the world. And nowadays, there's more focused on the digital world than there is on the world where Abba Father Yahweh dwells. So there is a place for digital devices. But if we are spending more of our time on our phones, watching television, playing on the laptop, if our minds are focused on all of these things and stuff, we are giving the world and these devices precedence over Abba Father Yahweh. Because what our minds, our resh, our thoughts are on shows who we are serving more in our lives. You can have a continual conversation with Abba all throughout your day. Yes, you still have to communicate with people. I get that. But seriously, people don't know what meditating on his word really is. It's in close proximity with what prayer is. People don't really understand what prayer really is. It's the Hebrew word palal, and that is pay, your mouth, and lamed, lamed. And one of the models for lamed is your tongue. And it means to speak to who you're in authority with. And so you can speak to the enemy, or you can speak to Abba Father Yahweh and his son Yeshua. Before we ever speak, we think. So before words come forth from our mouth, we think them, hopefully. So prayer is not what people think it is, where you sit down, you pray before you eat your meal, or you pray before you go to bed. Prayer literally cannot be put in a box. Like we tend to think of prayer as, oh, it's time to pray. Prayer literally is our thoughts, who we're focused on, who we're speaking to in our mind. And that is who we are praying to. If we're constantly whining, complaining, bashing people with our words, thinking bad thoughts, worrying about this, worrying about that, then we're not in authority with Abba at that particular moment or season. Some people live their lives like this. And that means that they're never in authority with Abba. Other times people are completely focused on Abba. It just depends on each individual and their lives and what they hold as importance in their lives. So if Yahweh is one on a list of one for you, you're going to be talking to him in your mind all the time throughout the day. And you're going to be reasoning with him, and you're going to be asking him questions. You can literally have a tight-knit relationship with him that is solid, where you're communicating with him and he's communicating with you, and it becomes a relationship. We want to have a strong relationship with our Maker. But if we are plugged into all these other devices, constantly having that phone in our hand, constantly watching shows, constantly buying stuff on the internet, then our focus is not on him. It's focusing on, what's the next thing I can watch? What's the next thing I can uncover? What's the next research topic? I myself realized that oh gosh, guys. This world is hard to live in. This world is hard to live in. Our focus is constantly being diverted to things and stuff. I like to be on the internet, researching this, that, and the other topics. Reading something pertaining to something that Abba has shown me. But if we disconnected from all of these devices, let's say tomorrow there's no internet, there is no electricity, there is no more connection with these devices, these modern conveniences. What are you, me, everyone, what are we going to do? How are we going to survive? How are we going to learn? Some good questions to ponder on. I mean, really. Let's take it to the next level. Let's say All the books and Bibles have been destroyed. How are we going to connect with the Father? We won't have any of these sources anymore. Let me give you something to chew on. In the beginning, they didn't have books, scrolls. They didn't have these things. You want to know how, in ancient times, in the beginning, they communicated with Abba, speaking to him in their minds and through their lips, their pay. They asked him questions. They literally were plugged into him completely. Completely. They spoke to him, and he spoke to them. There was no distractions for Adam and Hawa in the garden. That is, until the adversary came in. And we know the rest of it. So they literally had them and Abba and Yeshua to speak to. That was it. So next I wanted to transition into what my other sister shared with me, Talitha. She sent me a screenshot while I was talking to her the other day. And I was explaining to her just what I explained to you guys here, that we're plugging into all these digital distractions. We are in the world, but we are not to be of the world. We're not supposed to be doing what everybody else is doing around here. Yes, I use the internet. I put these videos out. I research stuff. I'm guilty of being on my phone a lot. But we got to disconnect, guys, to reconnect with Abba. These little devices that we have here, they're not doing us any good unless we're putting them in their proper place. Yahweh needs to be one on a list of one. He needs to be our main focus. If we don't have any of these devices, how will we know which way to go in life? How will we know? We talk to Abba and we ask him to show us the way that we are to go. So my girlfriend Talitha, she told me that while I was speaking to her, she looked at her phone and she noticed something. And I'm going to share that screenshot with y'all. And it is a model that you see here of Tet and the 4 doors, Dalit. And we've got the door within Tet. Then you see in one of the other corners, we got Google. So G, Gimel. And then you've got M for Mem. And together, Gimel, or G, Google, and M, Mem, work together because in order to spread a message or do the footwork, you've got to transport it. That's what all these digital devices are doing. They're doing the footwork for us, where in ancient times you actually walked or you traveled by foot of your own or the animal you were riding upon to deliver a message. Now we just have the internet to do it in flick of a switch. So these digital devices are in the four corners of our earth, causing us to constantly be plugged in to the system that we are focusing on. Because within Tet reveals Ta, which is the mark. And the mark goes back to a video I did some time ago, that Torah is Ta Resh Ta, or I'm sorry, Ta Resh He, but the plural form of Torah is Torot, Ta Resh Ta. Are we paying attention to the signs of the world or the signs of Yahweh? Because that's what the comparison I did on that video is: tarot cards and Torot. They're the same pictographs. It's just ones are signs of the world and the other are signs of Yahweh. There's two sides to every pictograph, guys. I repeat myself all the time, but I don't know who's going to watch these videos and if they're going to see the other ones and know what the heck I'm talking about. So I got to repeat myself like a broken record. But it's important because just like when we watch TV, they're constantly programming you. That's what they're called, programs. Channels, channeling. Entertainment. Okay? Plugging into the digital systems of the world to keep our mind's eye, focused on what they want to plug into our minds. So, getting back to what I was saying with Torot and Tarot, those being the signs that our minds are focused on. We need to be more focused on Abba Father Yahweh, His instructions, His signs, which He can show us in the physical world that we live in. But if we are more in tune with Him and His world, our mind's eyeing in His world, we will be more in tuned with His channel. So when I saw the screenshot of Talitha, she said, we think we have relationships with people online, and they're false. They're not real. We need to come together in our tight-knit families and be strong, because the enemy comes in. They're going to demolish us because we don't have no protected city or protective wall, let alone family members sticking together for protection. And that transitions me into the next thing. How do you capture someone? You set a trap for them. The entertainment industry, the World Wide Web, it's a trap to keep us focused on the digital world. Almost like it's a digital form of ourselves. Think about that. It's a digital form of ourselves. Facebook, it's our lives being written in a book. Doesn't Scripture talk about the book of life will be opened up? Our lives are a book. What is your book saying about you? Me. Everyone. Are we being caught in a trap that the world is setting for us? It's kind of like a spider web. I'm going to share some things that Abba showed me today. Spider web. I didn't know this, but it is in the shape of a hexagon. The form of it. I'll show pictures. And it is one of the strongest natural traps. And when a spider makes their web, it captures the prey. It captures the innocent. And when I was doing my research, I saw some pretty big spider webs in different places of the earth where these spider webs are huge enough to capture a human. We have a different form of a spider web today in the digital realm, where people are caught in the web of lies that are presented to us in the world, in the digital world, which is where www.whatever.com. www is wah, wah, wah. The tent peg. 666. And I've known that for a while. It just really didn't hit me until I realized today that a spider web was a hexagon shape that Abba's been showing me for many months now. That hexagon shape, for those that haven't watched the other videos I've done, that is what our DNA, our molecules, are made out of. Basically, that's the form of them. And it's not just humans, it's all of Abba's creation. It's the hexagon, which is six-sided. In humans, we have 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. 666. So chew on that. And they're very, very strong, and they hold together, which is why the spider web is so strong and in some cases can hold up humans. So what web are you tapped into? Because the enemy is spreading its web and trying to capture you in it. And we need to connect with Abba more, which is a form of protection. We need to connect with those that are in our small, close-knit proximity. We don't need to have hundreds of fake friends on Facebook all over the world. We need to have real ones. All right, that's what I got for you today, folks. So have a blessed day and tap into Abba's frequency. Disconnect to reconnect with Abba Father Yahweh. Shalom, Havarim. Bye.